Hello, Maddie from Hello Interloper here. Today we have an update to the Defender of Texel Blizzard Entertainment debacle that has been going on with the last event. And it seems that they have changed the designs of these so-called offending fighters, except for the one that looks a little bit like Diablo, probably because the color was so off that really there's no scare regarding possible charges, lawsuit file, copyright, whatever. But this is the message that was given to everybody in game. The fighters in DeNA, Isis, Polyhymnia, Aranus, Nemesis, and Melpomene have undergone a design modification as a part of the game's spec shift. There have been no changes to stats or skills. Now, your guess is as good as mine what on earth a spec shift is. Honestly, it sounds like a load of bull to me. I think they're rather covering their butts here because they are afraid of being slapped with a copyright lawsuit by Blizzard Entertainment. But there's also another message that we all got, and a prize, so to speak, a compensation sort of thing. It says, because of design modifications to some fighters, we are sending 10 Nux bits to you. Thank you for your patience and defend on. Well, honestly, this all sounds very fishy, but it's time for us to go over the designs and the design changes. You can see the original designs and the comparison in this video that you can see right here. It's on my main page if you want to watch it, and I highly recommend you watch it if you have not, because it's just so crazy how similar these are from World of Warcraft characters. It's pretty ridiculous and very transparent. The only thing that has sort of been changed is the whole Diablo one, because first of all, it's purple and green and strange, and it's also a ghost. So I think that was enough of a design change to not incur any kind of copyright issues. However, the other ones are extremely similar, and so they have been altered. Now let's go and look at DeNA, Isis, and Polyhymnia. So, as we can see here, it's a pretty laughable change. What has been changed is the color scheme. It's no longer this nice blue that we've seen in World of Warcraft in the Spirit Healer, but kind of a dull teal. And here's where things get pretty hilarious. Let's zoom in on DeNA's face here. We've seen this before, and I'm sure you recognize it. Just take a moment, and let me look at Isis here. Nothing has changed except for the color scheme and something on its head. And let's go down to Polyhymnia here. If this doesn't ring a bell, and you haven't played enough D.O.T, let's look up our good friend Hungerfledge and Plumondius. Yep. Basically, they just copy and pasted Plumondia's face onto the Isis. Very, very lazy. Very lazy. And honestly, it's causing a lot of outrage. And it's actually led to the price fall of these guys. I know it seems pretty ridiculous that just the looks of a character would actually change people's opinions, but it actually has gone down in price. Now let's look at Melpomene. Now, this is another pretty lazy change. The color scheme has stayed exactly the same, but that axe that Aranus and Nemesis and Melpomene have is quite different. Now, this is where we see real changes. Pretty much, this is rather similar, Aranus. And here we have the change. The axe is no longer like Lord Marogar's in World of Warcraft. And that extra skull has been taken off from the top of his head. We can see here the extra skull in this little picture here. Now, that's probably so it seems less like Lord Marogar. But honestly, this is rather lazy. See, now he's got two axes and a new type of head. Rather than have a skull on top, the eyes have been increased in size, and there's this little extra eye here. But honestly, it looks kind of, I don't know, explain it, kind of overly Halloween-like, kind of lame scary. And of course, the axes are different. It's not a one headed axe, it's a double headed axe, or maybe it's two axes, I don't know. There's also a lot of purple added in. And as you can see, the old one over here, let me zoom into that so you can see it a little better. That's the old head, and that's the new head. So overall, things have been changed quite a bit. And here we have another little display of DeNA's laziness, unfortunately. See this blue axe? Oops, sorry about that. Accidentally selected it. And that axe as well. Where have we seen that before? It seems a little similar. Ah, yeah, the end of Frevarden's axe. It is the exact same thing, copy, pasted, and color swapped, which is really upsetting. But we know that Defender of Texel has a lot of color swaps, naturally. You know, we have full lines that are color swapped, but somehow that does not seem as offensive as just copy and pasting certain parts of other defenders and putting them on completely new defenders. And the fact that this even happened to begin with is pretty disappointing. Somehow I think that there are probably a few firings going on in DeNA's employee lineup for this craziness, because, I mean, you don't want to mess with Blizzard Entertainment, especially because they recently, well, not actually recently, probably a few years ago, I don't actually remember, I don't keep track of this, but they did merge together with Activision. And you guys probably know Activision if you are an Xbox or PS2, PS3 player, anything like that. Because Activision has made the Call of Duty games, and that's, of course, extremely popular and annoying to many people, but still, they're a big company. They make a lot of money. You do not want to mess with these big companies. And DeNA is big in Japan, but not as big in America. You don't want to be hounded by crazy, huge companies. They're probably in a little bit of trouble. But there have been some side effects to this, not just with a little bit of outrage and some price drops in these guys, but there's been a lot of outrage with people trying to get, once again, refunds. And there have been some people who are even saying to go to the Federal Trade Commission's Consumer Information page to try to get refunds and report consumer complaints and stuff, which is pretty crazy, honestly, because, I mean, if you were to spend money on virtual things and, you know, just the looks were changed, I don't really think that constitutes a refund. Now, meanwhile, the whole Rage of Bahamut craziness, where they completely changed the way that items were traded and kind of locked up the free trade of their items, that I did believe constituted a refund. Now, if you, of course, you don't really know what I'm talking about, it's probably a good idea to go really far back on my video channel and you can find some stuff about it. But basically, that kind of led to the initial downfall, and now Rage of Bahamut is maybe like the 70th most paid game on iOS when it used to be the number one. So basically, it seems that all these mistakes are happening all over again, but this time, just looks. It's not as bad. Honestly, I enjoy the trading in this game. I don't think it's a problem, but a lot of people are really angry about this. Really, really angry, especially the people who were so in love with these designs and wanted these guys for their team, and then, of course, you know, they changed and they look a little more lame. Honestly, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it constitutes a refund. It seems kind of silly. But, you know, some people are really upset over it, and everyone has a right to be upset. So, that's basically what has happened with this whole debacle, but there is one extra thing that has kind of made people a little bit suspicious about this whole incident. And that's because the last event was a PvP event. Now, usually the whole rotation goes that in between every PvP and raid event, and vice versa, there is a dungeon event. It's not like Blood Brothers where we have it in a constant rotation. It's more like PvP, dungeon, raid, dungeon, and back to PvP all over again. it seems that now they've completely skipped the dungeon event. Now, whether or not this is going to be a permanent change, or this is something that they had to do because they already designed the last event and they had to completely change everything quickly because they realized that their dungeon event guys, heroes, and whatnot were all copyright violations and they had to quickly pull something out of their butts. Who knows? But what we do know is with this current event that's going on, the raid event. Now, where is it? Ah, they don't have the next one up here. But basically, we have a lot of color swaps. I mean, the two major rewards are color swaps, which is very disappointing. I mean, we have Ansher, Birdu, Gaga, which is a direct thing, direct color swap of Nabu Usabsi, which is Afro Croc. And actually, the Gaga line is better in every way. And what's interesting is they're both lightning, which is very strange. But if we go over here, there's also, go figure, a color swap of Plumondia. So let me open it up here. Unfortunately, they don't have the full line here. Ah, yes, they have an image here. As you can see, there's the evolution. And it's a really, really lazy color swap. It's rather upsetting. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the same color wings. Almost the same color. This is like nice rusty brown, and this is a duller brown, but still lazy. I think that they pulled this out quickly because they had to quickly switch to a raid event because they messed up the dungeon event with all these future copyright issue things. But you know what? We're just gonna have to wait and see. So, but that's basically the conclusion of this whole debacle. They've fixed what they had to do to avoid a copyright violation and upset quite a few people along the way. Changed the whole value of the items. But anyway, until next time, and hopefully we'll maybe get a little more compensation. Always nice to have a little more compensation. I mean, 10 Nux bits was great. How about 10 Nux, huh? Okay, good luck, everybody.